welcome to On Demand. I am super excited to see you today. I feel like we have a real message for you today. I feel like this week has actually been a really strong message for people, but today feels like an unleashing. And I'll explain what I mean by that. And so first and foremost, I have a favor to ask you. Can I get a favor? Say yes if you will grant me a favor. Can I ask you a favor? Okay, so here's my favor. And it's okay if you're not going to Zone Event, but you guys going to Zone Event, you'll love this. So there's always a cue song. A song that when you come back to the room after a break or something like that, when you hear it, you know, in the hallways that you know, oh, we're getting started. I need some help picking that cue song. So let me give you a vision here. Before you all start giving me your advice, this is what happens in relationships all the time. People start giving advice when they don't understand the vision. Okay. And also you guys who work with virtual assistants, or you work with husbands or wives, or people who might become husband and wives some days, right? It's really important before you start giving advice to really understand what's in somebody's heart and what they want to create. So the cue song at Zone Event is really important. And yes, it's to alert people to come back in the room. Don't be late. Don't be someone who, shows up late for your life. If you show up late for the room, you show up late for your life, right? It's a pattern. It's a habit. Some people roll their eyes at that, but I'm telling you, it is. Do you want to know the number one things that my friends say behind closed doors? Like, number one thing, if there's any complaint in the higher echelons of income, do you know what it is? It's something like this: the person was late. They were 5 minutes late. I just knew right there I was going to end that meeting. I wasn't going to work with them. And so it's a big deal. Like, it's a huge deal. Why? Because it says something about your leadership. Now, it doesn't mean that leadership cannot be changed, but somebody who backs down to their emotions, doesn't follow through, doesn't say what they're going to do, or second guesses themselves and cancels things, that's the person that it doesn't matter how talented they are. They're never going to access freedom. And so it's really important for you to know that this cue song helps people, supports people to get back in the room. So number one, it needs to be high energy enough that it catches your attention. So you need to write that down. It needs to be high energy enough to catch somebody's attention. The second thing is that it needs to be a message that, like, you can sing to. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't matter what era, it doesn't matter if it's the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, it doesn't matter. Doesn't have to be top 40, doesn't have to be any of that. It's a song that people sing to. And so it creates this emotion in someone that they get free. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you're singing, it's really hard to be stressed, right? And so we put on a lot. I don't want to say I put on a lot of pressure on you at Zone Event, because then you won't come. So I'll just put the pressure on you when you get there. No, I put a lot on you at Zone Event because I want you to make some really key decisions for next year. So I need a song that's got high energy, that gets people's attention. But oh my gosh, Ain't No Mountain High Enough. That's the song I've been singing everywhere. Somebody just put Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Literally, I'm not kidding you. That's the song I've been singing everywhere. Keith is really destroyed. He's like, not that song. No, I just saw his head go like that. Right. So it's like, so if you would do me a favor and take a couple of minutes right now and think, if you're not driving, what would be the song that you would love? And my friends, I'm not going to put on a Christian song. Okay. Because if somebody's, into the universe and not into the gospel, it's not going to do the effect for them. It needs to be something universal. It needs to be something universal, right? So it's not religious, it's not gospel, it's not, Indian, Chinese, Canadian, Spanish. I just said to my friends, I said, isn't it wild? If you don't think you're tracked on your phone, I'm in Puerto Rico and every message and alert is Spanish. And I have they tracking us. Right? So it's like, it makes a difference. Okay, great. So if you take a moment and just go in the chat, that would be really helpful. I'm not kidding you. It would really help me to hear what you think should be the theme song for coming back in the room, or the cue song, not the theme song, for coming back in the room at Zone Event. That would be so awesome. I would just be so thankful for you to do that. Okay, now back to you. Let's get off me. Back to you. So today I wanted to, let me get my little notes here. believe it or not, I actually keep notes and I plan the curriculum for today. I don't just go off the seat of my pants. I've actually got a direction and a mission and a desire to see, this compound in your life, whether you're with us in the on-demand mastermind or you're just watching us on social media. So the concept today is something that you already know, which is perception is reality. However, I almost guarantee you perception is kicking your ass right now somewhere. Okay, so here's a great example. Somebody on our team messaged me and said, Shanda, this person coming to the event, a team member, I just want to let you know that they are being extremely difficult. Okay, and this is important to know. Okay, so I rarely get these calls, but when I do, I feel like it's a call to change. It's a call to leadership. It's a call to, because the whole scenario is if I go and go to Will and I say, you know what, Will, Keith who's managing this line, Keith is being really difficult. So number one, what do you think I just did? I mean, I could justify it, especially if Will is Keith's boss or Will owns the company. The problem with that is I just destroyed Keith's Keith's identity. So whether you like it or not, every time you say something about somebody else, you actually put a seed in somebody else's head. And I'm telling you, it's like wanting a new red BMW. You will see that red BMW everywhere. So when you seed something, so some of you guys are going through divorces, separations, whatever. I'm telling you, it says more about you than it does the other person when you have a need to talk about the other person. Because it's a need to be right or it's a need to be heard. And both of those will destroy your leadership. Okay, so now you're human. So these moments happen, right? They happen. I go to my husband and I talk to him about things, right? And it's a number one thing it's a rule that we have in our marriage I even reminded him this morning. I said, Elizabeth is over here. We got the mobile vet over here. It's kind of wild. It's literally, they bring a veterinarian like hospital to your house. It's incredible, as I digress. But I said to my husband, I said, remember that when you're talking to team, to make sure that you remember that the culture in Puerto Rico is not you pay more, it's you love more. It really is. It's so much about love, family, taking care of, thinking about, nurturing, honoring, where a lot in the States, not that people don't like to be appreciated, but a lot on stateside, it's like, how much are you going to pay me? It is a different culture here. I can pay these guys as much as I want. And if I am even slightly rude to them, they ain't coming back, even if they need the money, because the value system is very different. Does that make sense, you guys? Yes. So I remind my husband of that this morning. And so not because he's not good with team, but just because it's important to help each other be on each other's team to shift, right? The way we think. So when I go to my husband about somebody or something, we very quickly flip it. So we have the human moment, and this is really what we do. So Keith, I'm going to pick on you, even though I've actually never picked on Keith, so it makes it really easy to pick on Keith. Or really clean to pick on Keith, because sometimes I will use examples and people know that I'm using them as an example. So Keith will know I'm not using him as an example. But if I went to Ash and just said, well, actually, this was actually real for me at one point with you, Keith. There was one moment when you were figuring out, your systems where I wasn't sure about your speed. And I said to my husband, I'm not sure about Keith's speed. And then he went and did hardcore leadership, and he came out of hardcore leadership and he became a bull. And what I mean by a bull, it's like there's nothing stopping him. And so what Keith would have recognized at that point is I message him when I need something taken care of, whether it's his role or not, I message him. And the reason why I message him is he has become reliable to me. Now, it doesn't mean he wasn't reliable before, right? I'm not saying that. I'm saying my perception was I'm not sure because I didn't know. So instead of going to Keith, I went to my husband. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Do you see the problem right there? It's a problem. So immediately my husband empathizes and says, well, why do you believe that? I tell him, and then we shift to, well, let's go have a conversation with Keith. Okay. So this is really important because if you don't go back to the source of the problem, right? So we use the word source in our Heart Grow Leadership program a lot. Some Christians and Catholics all say that we're becoming the Antichrist because we're not the source of anything. It's not meant to say we're God. It's meant to say the source in this situation is Keith. And if he is showing up in a way that I perceive is in a way that doesn't work for me, or I can't trust him, or I can't promote him, or whatever it is, then if I go to somebody else but him, I actually tarnish his reputation. This is why in my marriage, when I started my marriage with my husband talked about me all the time to process with our family members, with our friends. What do you think that did to my character? It seeded that in other people's minds. Right. And I finally had to go to him and I had to say, this was actually right before we got married. I had to say, if this is going to be our relationship, I will not marry you. And I said, because I can't have the man that has my back, which he always had my back. I was like, I cannot have you talk and process about me with other people because it makes them think that what you're processing is real. Does that make sense? So now I go back to the conversation of your perception is 100% your reality. So my team member messages me and says this other team member is being difficult and he's like, book me my flights on this day, but she's got strict orders. So just so you know, at Zone Event, I have about 350 hotel rooms booked for my staff alone. Okay, so perception, right? So that's why when somebody calls me and says, can I get a refund? No, the order is into the hotel. I am charged with the multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars for your seat in the room. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? So this is why we give 7-day refunds. Okay, so you have to flip this into your world because I'm telling you, when people's perception is off about you, they will blame you. And the more people you reach, which if it's up to me, you are going to be reaching a lot of people this next year, right? Like that is a big focus of mine, is to help people reach more people. So you have to realize that what you're contending with is people not understanding your perception. The problem is if you need people to hear you and understand your perception, you can't go big. What you need to do is understand their perception. Do you get it? Do you hear what I'm saying? You are the leader of your company. In the situation with my team member, she is the leader of making sure all the team is situated where they need to be, or some of the team. And so what the person she was working with, I did not assume they were difficult. I assumed that they were busy. And I know their personality is very black and white because they are a controller. Are you guys following me here? Controllers are black and white. You can call them every name in the book, but almost always their perception or they're almost always right about what they're working on. They're almost right about the path to take. And they can be very rude when they're busy because they're just very like that. But that's what makes them great, right? So if you're communicating with a controller and they are difficult, then I'm going to actually say that you're offended. And now there's a feeling, you've labeled them as difficult. There is a feeling that comes with that adds stress to you guys. You follow me? Put yes if you are. It adds stress to you. And so when you have the feeling is what creates burnout, adrenal fatigue, and quitting. So it is critically important that you get your leadership up. Because the minute you label someone, you're dead in the water. Even I've seen marriages go from divorce to madly in love when they work on their leadership. Like, I don't even want to see that person ever in my entire life and remarry. Wild. But it is only when somebody's leadership goes to the depth, and I can never control how deep somebody's leadership is going to go. That's up to you. Like, I had a girlfriend that we had the same coach for 5 years. And she bought everything that my coach put out. And I bought one thing. And we got to the same destination, the same size company. I don't know where she's at now, but we ended up at the same size company, but her investment to get there was much bigger. But in perception, we were making over $5 million a year at that time. We're surpassed that now. I don't know if she has, but we were both at $5 million a year. And so who cares if she spent 200,000 to get to 5 million? Do you know what I mean? Like, who cares? She got to the same place and now she retains that knowledge. So perception is really a big deal. Okay. And you have to be able to manage it. So I said to my team member, I said, you're dealing with a controller. And I said, you haven't done the last 2 sections of our leadership program. You're going to learn that in there. Hopefully you retain it. Right. And I said, because you're dealing with a controller and he's responding to you and you're leading. And so if you're leading, he's not flexing his leadership skills. It's kind of like me. If you're in my world, like Elizabeth is over there, the vet's there, I don't know who else is going to be coming into my world today to manage my life. But if they ask me messages or the team's slacking me, they might they're going to get 1 word, 2 word, maybe 1 sentence responses. I have to get very, very conscious because I know that I'm the founder of the company and it does not happen all the time. If somebody needs me to, okay, so I had somebody in our company that after 3 weeks said, I've been so offended working for you. And I said, why? I don't even see you. Like, I don't even see her. Like, this is somebody who came and like cleaned my house and fed us food. Well, every time she fed me food, I was on a training. And in California, they used to slip the food in at that time onto my desk. And then they had a time that like my blood sugar level was managed. Like everything was like dialed, right? I got all my testing done every 90 days. Like I was on a major health kick. So every time she walked in, I was training her on a conference call. So I just smiled, right? And I never went back at the end of the day or anything like that and said, hey, I really appreciate you. I love what you're doing. I didn't give her any feedback. What she was used to is like employee reviews. Well, anybody in my company, Keith, have I ever done an employee review with you? Absolutely not. Like, if you need that from me, you should probably go work somewhere else because it's just not in me. Now, if Keith needs something, he messages me. And I don't know if this is 100% true, but I think it is. I have always been there for him. It like over, above, extra miles, something that most people would feel embarrassed to go to their best friends to talk about. My team can come to me and talk to me about that. And I will be there. You see what I'm saying? And so there's different leadership skills and you have to look at whoever you're working with or whoever you're doing life with. And you need to assume that they're fantastic, they're great, they're amazing, they got your back. You have to assume it because the minute that you get offended, you will feel either insecure or unappreciated. And when that happens, you can't lead it. There's nowhere for that person to go. They cannot get on the other side of it. And then that's when things happen like quitting, separating. I'll give you, well, she can't speak English, so she can't understand me anyway. I thought the person over here wasn't going to make it. But I know this about my leadership. I haven't communicated anything yet. I haven't sat down and given my vision yet. That's my responsibility. Just like I did on the asking you guys for the cue, is this helping at all? Because I see entrepreneurs destroy people all the time because you think if you pay somebody to do something, they should just effing do the job. And I know you might not think that way, but when you get under pressure, a lot of entrepreneurs, they drive that type of response. So when I went and spoke to the person over here, for the sake of just in case, all of us can't stop raving about her this week. Like, we're like, oh my gosh, she's amazing. I would have missed out on amazing if I wouldn't have given her the benefit of the doubt. Now, some of you guys, I can already hear you. I give the benefit of the doubt. Okay, well, here's where we go. Back to the team member. I said to the team member, I think the person that you're dealing with is a controller and they're responding to you. That's why they're sending you screenshots about flights, this, that, and the other. They have no idea that you have over 350 rooms to book for our staff and the cost that goes with that. So if Keith or Jessica or any of these people want to stay an extra day, or they want to come in early because it's easier, right? Like it's easier if I fly out then, well, that's an extra hotel room. That's an extra mouth to feed, breakfast, lunch, dinner. And it adds up fast. I said, this person doesn't know what you're dealing with. They don't understand the perception. They don't perceive what's happening. So you think they're being rude and they're thinking something else and you don't know what that is. So I said, let me go see. So I sent a quick voice message. Sure enough, this person is booked back to back. They want to fly in on Sunday to Zone Event. They're booked back to back all day on Monday. They can be with the team at the start time for their section because we have training all day on the 27th to make sure that the people who attend the Zone Event, that our staff is walked through registration, that our staff is walked through the room, that our staff knows what happens if like you're asking where the bathroom is or where a lunchroom is, or like how do you deal with a frequently asked questions? Like there's a culture. You go to McDonald's, there's a culture, although it's changing. It's going robotic now. A lot of the McDonald's have already turned over to robots. This is what I'm saying. If you need to make money or you didn't hit your financial number that you should have hit this year and you're not going to the Zone Event, you're asking for trouble. Because here's the other perception. That you believe when you are trying to solve your problems, you are I'm in the perception of my backyard right now. And I've got a couple people that are here with me, so I got a little bit of an expansive perception because I can bounce things off the people here, right? But then when I go into a room like Zone Event, I have a bigger perception. I got Stormy Wellington on the stage. I got Scott Donalds on the stage. I got, the founders of Go High Level. I want to know, how did you break into a market and go to a market that's completely swamped and inundated? You guys in the coaching department, the coaching industry, the doctors, the real estate. Do you know what real estate agents are? Like, it's wild how saturated every market is. Like when somebody says, do you think I should do this because the market's saturated? I just think, you're scared. You're focused more on you. When you're scared, you only focus on you because pretty much every market's saturated. You guys get what I'm saying? And the market's so saturated that AI is going to take over half the jobs. And so you need to be thinking about how to hook people up, not I'm still contemplating where I'm going all in. If you're thinking about if I go all in, you got a perception problem. Are you guys following me here? So I'm going to flip into isolation, but I'm going to finish off the story. When I called my team member and they have all these appointments on Monday, they cannot be in the air and still be able to keep the responsibility on that day. So they're flying in Sunday. Once everybody knew that, nobody was labeled difficult. Do you get what I'm saying? And then what happened was, what if we did a family exercise where we put the word, what are we labeling every day about a situation, a person, or whatever. And we actually talked about, this is what my perception is, and figure out what's a reality, not from a place of I need to be heard. Okay, like if I am trying to have a conversation with my husband, or I'm trying to have a conversation with my clients, and I have a need to be heard, that's a real problem. That's a real problem. If you're leading something, it's a real problem. If you're leading, so if you have something you want to get done, that means you are the leader. And so that means you have to look at the chess game. You got to look at the contenders, the players in your life, and go, who are they? Are they promoters? Are they people like, woo? So if you don't talk to them in an exciting voice or even tone, they ain't listening. Okay, are they analytical? You better get some data. You got to get, oh, but I hate, they're so skeptical. Well, you better get skeptical. You better talk to them like that. Otherwise, you're not meeting them where they're at, which means that you're trying to lead something and you want them to change before you can lead it. I feel like somebody's getting it right now. Like the reason why it's not working is your rule for success is you husband, you client, you accountant, you babysitter, you sister, you mom. Y'all got to change to work in my world because I need to be heard. And that's a big problem. So now this affects your sales. This affects your Instagram, your Facebook, your TikTok, whatever social platforms you like. See, everybody, you're working so hard to figure out the tactic. What I'm telling you is you don't even know how to lead it. You got to get conscious about this. So I wrote down, I just said, Right now, pressure creates perception. It always has. Pressure creates perception. You should write that down. Wherever you feel pressure, your feelings are going to drop in and create perception. So this is why you stop showing up. This is why you cancel the zone event, don't come. This is why you cancel your time with your friends and family. This is why you don't take people up on their offers when you're stressed out. This is why you fail. And until you make a decision that at what point are you going to stop failing, like really failing? Failing is, I didn't show up. Right? At what point are you going to stop failing? Because life is not going to bless you. It's not. You are going to be a blessing. And when you get that, you will always, yes, I said the word, it's definitive. You will always show up. So I don't know what you need to do today. But what I do know is that there is a place in your life you're feeling pressure right now. And your feelings are telling you it's not the time, it's not the right thing to do. When there's other people, like one of our clients went and slept on a beach and camped with her children to come to an event. It wasn't zone event, it was a mastermind. And she camped on the beach because she couldn't afford the hotel. That's a woman that was able to create $500,000 in 1 quarter. Okay, that's also a woman that paid off multiple 6 figures in debt. Okay, I don't know what your excuse is, but if you keep making commitments and not following through because of your feelings, you're getting signs to hold back. That is not a sign from heaven. The original inspiration on why you committed to something, that was your signal. And what keeps happening is people in the world keep pulling back. And as they keep pulling back and canceling, I'm telling you, we had 10 people cancel for the zone event in 1 day. And I was like, wow, what a pattern. I was like, what a pattern. And I'm sure they all had their reasons. And at the same time, we had 24 more booked. You know, I share this with you because the further your commitment out there is, the more likely you're going to commit, or the more likely you're going to quit. Get your ass in the room. Get your ass to the gym. Stop hitting snooze on your life. You know, I'm telling you, it's more about showing up than it is about your feelings. And when you start operating like that, I'm telling you, life is going to change. All right, my friend, this is my last on demand for this month. I will probably do 1 or 2 next month, and then I will be going skiing for the rest of December because I made the right decisions to be in the rooms and to empower this brain so that there isn't anything that I can't get through. There isn't a problem I can't solve, and I show up. I've only ever missed 1 event, 1 mastermind, only ever 1. And I'm telling you, it was because I was too comfortable after lockdowns. And I will give you my word, that will not happen again. And the reason why it won't happen again is I had a whole freaking year of challenges because of my leadership, not because of my ability to make money, lead people, crush the world in a good way. It was because my leadership had gotten sloppy. And so I always say, 90% of your success is how you follow through. And if you're a good starter and a shitty finisher, I'm telling you, it doesn't matter if people think you're brilliant. The problem is you know you're not acting in a way that creates the freedom you want. Show up in every area that you said you were going to and solve the problems. That's the baseline to success. If you won't do that, it ain't happening. You get what I'm saying, my friends? So here's what's great about it, and we'll end on a good note. The very, very amazing thing about that is that you're fully empowered and everything can change really quickly. You're fully empowered. My girl that was multiple 6 figures in debt, it took her a year and a half to pay off all of her multiple 6 figures in debt. Some of you guys are afraid because you got $10,000 on your credit card. But you're only afraid because you're not in rooms like Zone Event. Seriously, that's why you're afraid. Because you somehow think that debt is going to just disappear if you ignore it and don't step into the right rooms. It's not happening. In fact, on day 1 of Zone Event, I'm going to show you how to get access to cash and fund anything that you want. I'm doing it on day 1. Do you know how to do that? You better. What I'm getting more cash for next year. And I have cash. And I'm getting more cash for next year. I was getting messages this morning from my controller. Why? Because you shouldn't be growing at the level in which you can make money. I'm going to repeat that again. You should not be growing your life at the level in which you can make money. That speed is too slow for all of us. So if you've ever heard yourself say, this thing isn't growing fast enough, you're right, it's not. But it's not because there's something wrong with you. It's really not because there's something wrong with you. You get one offer working, not 20, not 10, not even 2. You get one offer working that liquidates, puts money in your bank account. And I'm telling you, from there, that's where freedom starts. As long as you know how to get access to the money, which is in partnerships. We're going to show you how to do it on day 1 at Zone Event. And people are still canceling on themselves because you need me to be so good that I tell you everything you're going to get, because you're still living in transactional world. And you got to get it. You got to flip the switch. When you flip that switch, I'm telling you, this thing is amazing how good that thing in your head is, that brain. When it gets fed the right information, it produces the thing that you want. And I'm going to tell you, if you need funding, I'm going to show you how to get funding. You need one offer that converts like gangbuster, I'm going to show you how to do that. You need to figure out how to multiply your money fast, because you can see that your runway is not that long and that you need to have your money work for you. I'm going to show you how to do that, right? You want to know how to blow up social media? Stormy Wellington's going to show you how to do that. You want to figure out your spiritual warfare and why you're working so freaking hard and everything keeps hitting you on the side? Rex Crane's going to work that out for you. I mean, we are going to amplify this event at a level that's crazy. But you got to remember this. When you step up to your calling, that's when shit hits the fan. When you keep pulling back, everything's going to simmer down and feel a little better. But guess what? You're gonna be woken up in the middle of the night with a freaking panic because you're being stolen from the world like that. Like the world is bleeding you out, and it's bleeding you out because you're not leading it. You're responding to it. Stop responding to your life. Get in front of it. We're gonna show you how to do that. And the way to do that is you got no cash. And I don't say I'm making it. You got to make it, but that's what makes you feel safe, right? You got to make it. But before you make it, you need to figure out how to get it, don't you? How many of you guys would like me to go invest in your business? How many of you guys would like me to give you $5,000, $10,000? Put yes in the chat. How many of you guys would like me to give you $5,000 or $10,000? How many of you guys think it'd be helpful, write the word offer, if I could show you how to have one really strong offer that converts and puts money in the bank every month? Put the word offer. How many of you guys know that you want to grow faster? Put the word fast. You want your money to grow faster? Put the word fast. So what you need to understand,
you might get a color that doesn't match.
Thanks. What you need to know is how to interpret that data. And we're going to teach you how to interpret that data. You guys who said you want to grow faster, that's investing. You know that, did you? Right? That's actually investing. Oh, I don't have any money to invest. I can't make ends meet. But that can turn around in a day. That could turn around in a day. I'm not kidding you. But if you don't know how to do that, that's a leadership breakdown. And Michael Strauss is going to talk about that on the stage as well. But we're not going to talk about it. We're going to make you do it, because I don't trust you to go do it unless you do it in the room. So we're going to do it. We're going to give you access to cash. We're going to give you access to that one offer. We're going to give you access to massive leadership. We're going to give you access to people. Now you ask yourself, if you don't need that, don't come to the event. If you do need that and you canceled your hotel, wake up, my friends. You got to be in that room. You owe it to yourself and you owe it to your family. All right, I'm sending you guys so much love. On Demand Mastermind, I'm coming to you on Zoom. All right, everybody, have a good rest of the week. Social media. Whoop, whoop.
Happy Thanksgiving.